Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining the Ripple Revolution. There has never been a better time to live your soul's purpose and initiate change than now. Do you feel disconnected from yourself, your family, your significant other, like you have drifted off course, lost connection to your inner compass? Have you given up on your dreams? You're just periodically wondering if there is more to life than what you're currently experiencing, consumed by other people's agendas and fulfilling someone else's dreams. Do you feel like you are solely or soullessly existing? Please don't worry, you're in the right place. This interview is part of a global event featuring a diverse collaboration of speakers, influencing social impact entrepreneurs, spiritual leaders, elders, shamans, visionaries, thought leaders, and educators who are all boldly creating their intentional lives, acting as beacons to guide and inspire others to live audaciously and fearlessly. They are generously sharing their wisdom and personal experiences, offering inspiration, encouragement, and providing the practical tools required for you to create the remainder of your life intentionally, authentically, and unapologetically. We invite you to reconnect to yourself, that young child inside you who used to dream big dreams and has overcome every obstacle in its way. Also, connect with your future self, who feels for what you are going through right now and knows that incredible things await if you choose to take action on something that fuels that light inside you. This choice will not only profoundly change the trajectory of your life, but will initiate a ripple of impact which will positively influence others and future generations. These interviews have been curated to empower you to reconnect to yourself, reignite your inner flame so that you have the courage, support, and tools to take action to reconnect to your soul's purpose through a series of imperfect actions starting now. I am your host, Pete Steadman, and today it gives me great pleasure to interview Jean Pullen. Welcome, Jean.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with Jean's work, I'm just going to share a little from her bio here now. Jean is a multi-talented artist, gardener, cook, musician, best-selling author, and entrepreneur. Jean is the founder of Regenerate Your Reality, partner of the Jungle Project, and a soil advocate at Kiss the Ground. In her travels to Europe, Mexico, and Central America over the past 5 years, Jean has had the opportunity to co-create, volunteer, and visit various permaculture projects. Before redesigning her reality, Jean worked in corporate finance. Together with her husband, Alan, they lead agroforestry consulting, design, and management at Regenerate Your Reality project. Regenerate Your Reality uses permaculture, agroforestry, and education to bring sovereignty and happiness to our communities. It is their mission to restore the relationship between humans and the earth and build a regenerative future. They are excited to share this mission with you. Thank you, Jean, for joining the Ripple Revolution.
It's amazing to be here. The ripple is real and it starts with us.
That's beautiful. I would love it if you would share a little bit with the audience. Like in your bio, it talks about you being in corporate finance. So how do you find yourselves in Costa Rica from corporate finance?
Yes. So I was living in Seattle in the city, and I worked in corporate finance for 8 years. And something inside me, just when I looked around, I saw this life that was not sustainable. It was depleting for people and for the earth. And I was working on I was working at a retail company that was just constantly, it was all about consumerism. And something just clicked where it was like, this is not the life that I'm meant to live. I'm not following my heart's path. I'm feeling anxiety. I'm feeling like I need to dismantle this life and live another life. And that is where I began to go off on a journey of regenerating my own reality through yoga, through foods, whole foods, and started volunteering at permaculture projects, and eventually met my partner, who was just a dream come true, who is a farmer and all about regenerative agriculture. And we moved to Costa Rica 5 years ago and joined Jungle Project that I work on as kind of it's all about trees training and trade. And it's a community-based project in Limon and Torrealba. And we also have our own farm that we work on and are now 50% food sovereign. So I think that it's all possible to dismantle and live many lives within a life and really make big leaps of faith and make the change.
That's such an inspiring story. I bet there's people out there watching this right now who are like, I know that I don't belong where I am. What would you say to those people? Like, what's a piece of advice for the people who have they know they don't belong, but they just don't know what the first step is?
Yes, I think the first step is just making the action, and whether it is quitting your job, redesigning your life, and finding a passion, making your passion your job. And also just do it. Just take that leap of faith and start following your passions and listening to your own body and what you need and what your family needs, and know that there are different lifestyles out there. I didn't even know that the regenerative movement existed until I just got sucked into it, like, oh, this is my path. And all of us can join the regenerative movement by regenerating our minds, our bodies, and the earth, and showing up for our families and ourselves and the earth.
Oh, absolutely. I'm 100% on board with what you're sharing here. But for those, could you just explain what regenerative is for those people who may not have heard that term before?
Yes, regeneration is the restoration of any organism. It could be the earth regenerating the soil. It could be the cells in our body regenerating to a better state. And everything is capable of regeneration, our mind, our body, and the earth. And it's so important to live more than just sustainably. You know, we talk about sustainability, and regeneration is going beyond sustainability and saying, how can we make it better than we found it? How can we leave this earth when we pass better for the generations to come?
I was just curious here, when you talk about the food sovereignty as well. And so could you just, like, I know that you have a lot of trees, but can you just elaborate on what you mean by food sovereignty and give an example of what you have on your property?
Yes, so food sovereignty is when we are able to source our food from our backyards, from local farmers, and able to grow our own and grow some of our own. And I know that many of us may not even have our own lands to steward. We may be renting, and we don't need to own land to start planting and to start your own garden. You can start in pots on your own front porch, but just by starting with a few herbs, a few edible perennials. And in our garden, we are stewarding over 2.5 acres, and we're conserving the forest that already exists here. But the history of this land is that it was a cow pasture, and we are regenerating the soil. So we're bringing in additional mountain organisms, soil from the forest. We're bringing in mulch, leaves from the forest, and debris from the forest to regenerate the land. And that was our first step, is really adding another layer to the soil, composting and giving back to the earth. And then from there, we started to plant out our garden. So we have a medicinal garden where we have over 50 different varieties of medicinal herbs, such as oregano and aloe vera and kilo, and I could name off many herbs. And then we also have an edible perennial garden. And perennial means it just goes on and on. The perennial life cycle is many years, whereas annual, you have to replant. So as a lazy farmer and a permaculturist, we don't want to be spending all our time working in the fields. We want to spend some time, but use our time as wisely as possible, because we have processing to do, we have other projects we're involved in. So a perennial is a great source of food that goes on and on, such as katuk, cranberry hibiscus, and other types of spinaches. So we grow all of our own greens, and then we started growing our own roots. And these are when you start to steward land, you want to think about how can you immediately solve your get your herbs in order, your veggies and greens, and your roots. Those are in your first 2 years of stewarding land, that's what you focus on. And you also plant the trees for within 5 years from now, then those trees will be producing. So right now we are sovereign in all of our own herbs, greens, salads, veggies, and bananas, plantains. Those also grow within a year, you're producing bananas and plantains. And then we planted out entire food forest. And what a food forest is it mimics nature. So if you look at a forest, you see a canopy tree, you see an understory tree, and then you see the shrubs and the bushes, and then the ground cover. So you mimic that in a food forest. And with our canopy trees, we have many. We've planted maybe over 100 different variety of edible fruit trees that we're just so excited for them to produce. They're about 2 years away from really fruiting and pumping. And it's just a beautiful example of how we can live regeneratively. We no longer can extract from this earth. We need to do exactly the opposite. We see traditional agriculture growing just one crop in monocrops, and it desertifies the earth. It depletes the earth. With the toxins that are put on the food, it's not good for the people and it's not good for the earth. So transitioning to buying regeneratively and organic, along with planting and supporting regenerative agriculture in your own backyard. You can replace your lawn and have a little edible food forest garden that's just right outside. You don't need that much land to just grow a little bit of what you consume.
That's so inspiring. I love I love it. It's just the whole feel of knowing where our food is coming from and being able to give it gratitude and just recognize like how important it is. I always find eating organic food or eating fresh food from our property is so much more rewarding, and the taste is so much more enriched.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where did you learn about the plants? Was it something you wanted to study before, or is what you learned when you were visiting the properties?
Yeah, so I started to learn about plants for the last 6-7 years. I have different books that I study, but I'm also very interested in herbalism and natural medicine and how we can cure ourselves through the plants that we consume, through the foods, the soups, the ferments that we create. And so studying on my own and then going to permaculture design courses, getting involved in volunteering at different farming projects. And my partner is like a walking, talking encyclopedia of plants and permaculture. So I'm like a sponge. I soak in the knowledge from him and all my mentors around me. And I have many mentors and people I learn from.
I think that's such an important message, is how we can't be expected to know it all ourselves, and the importance of having mentors and collaborating and learning. And like for me, it's like tapping into the ancestral knowledge. What do the local people know that we don't know, or we think we know, and be willing to embrace that?
Yes. Yeah. Constantly learning, just being open to learning teaching, unlearning, learning something different, and then just being ready to change our lifestyle, change our habits, and just trying. Like the biggest thing to gardening, and I hear from people, is I don't have a green thumb. You know, nature works in, you plant a seed, some seeds are going to die, some seeds are going to come alive, and just keep trying and cyclically just plant the seeds, eat fruit, plant seeds. And that's what we've done since I arrived in Costa Rica. I just became obsessed with the tropical fruits. But wherever you are in the world, you can plant seeds, you can sprout your own food, sprouting lentils or broccoli, or just getting that relationship with the seed and sprouting and living live foods is so powerful.
How has your life changed through like your lifestyle now? When you think back of what your life used to be, how different is it?
It's a lot different. So I used to be more in the kind of, you say, like 9 to 5 rat race, I guess you could call it. I used to be going to work, on a certain time and leaving at a certain time. And I worked from home some, but now my work is my passion. So I'm a farmer, I'm a writer, and an educator, but I'm also constantly learning. And so I think just living cyclically is the biggest change that I made. So now I wake up with the sun and I start to go to bed earlier, wake up earlier, and just get out into nature for a walk in the morning, drink a big glass of spring water from the land, start eating fruit first thing, and really gaining my relationship with the cycles of nature. And that was something I was very disconnected from in my past life.
Why do you think it's important for people to do it now? Is it more important now, or just is still important to reconnect in that way?
I think that the power of now, we must start now and living a regenerative present. And it's so important to start to gain our connection with nature and the cycles of nature, the cyclicality of a woman's body, of the cycles of a year, and the ebbs and the flows, and just getting comfortable with death, rebirth, and decomposing and rebirth, and just all the cycles that come in between, getting comfortable with them all. And that just brings you into a regenerative lifestyle of constantly regenerating.
I love the bit about you share about the death and rebirth and just being in harmony with the cycles. Because I feel like on my personal journey that the being willingness for parts of me to die allows space for parts of me to grow into a better version of myself, or become a sort of a just more who I need to be. And so I love that part. So I want to just sort of touch on something. I want to go on a different direction in a moment, but has there been any challenges for along your journey? Like, what is it, like, as people who think, okay, that's great, but it's not for me. It's like, what are some of the challenges which you've overcome along that journey of transitioning?
I think that the biggest leap of faith is just that, like, quitting the job, the constant income that you might have had in being comfortable, stepping out of your comfort zone and just making that decision of, okay, I'm going to trust and surrender to the present moment, because I no longer have a rigid schedule. I am living more cyclically, and many different opportunities just present themselves without a plan, without the whole annual process that you go through maybe in the corporate world. So just making that leap of faith and starting with maybe your job, or looking at the environment that you're in and making a move to a better environment for you and your family. But just taking that leap out of your comfort zone was the biggest challenge, and it's so worth it.
That's a beautiful message. I love that piece. It's like, yeah, just once you start, the path illuminates. So for people who want to learn more or explore more into regenerative, what are some of the resources that they should be getting, or sites they should be going to, or how can they learn more about your work?
Yeah, so we have there's Kiss the Ground that does a soil advocacy training that I am a soil advocate, so I really recommend taking that training. It helps you empower yourself to really advocate for the earth and to learn about regenerative agriculture. And our website, Regenerate Your Reality, has the entire section of webinars that we've done with different experts in the field about permaculture, regenerative living, food sovereignty, homesteading. And also we have many articles that are just free resources to learn about how to start your regenerative path. And then we also have a recommended reading list. We have a recommended video list, like YouTube videos. So go to our website, Regenerate Your Reality, and you can see all those resources and can join our next webinar. Each month we do a free webinar where we have a different expert come on. This next month, we're going to learn about permaculture in action with Jose Pablo, who is a Costa Rican and has been in the regenerative movement for the last 20 years. So yeah, just get curious and start to do your own research. I mean, nowadays you can learn almost anything on YouTube. I think I learned, YouTube's been another college for me in this process of just learning, how to ferment, how to graft. I learned how to graft on YouTube. I also learned from mentors and such, but yeah, just start getting immersed in education and knowledge, and then hands-on, taking a course. You can take courses with us or many other teachers about permaculture, about regenerative living, and just getting started.
Can you share a little more about the courses you offer on your property?
Yes, so we do a farm to table tour with a lunch, and this is typically where families that move here or people that are interested in regenerative living come and do a private workshop with us. Their family, maybe one other family. It's an intimate group. And we dive into permaculture, regenerative living, and looking at each zone within permaculture. Our zone 0 is ourselves. Our zone 1 is our herbal garden. Our zone 2 is our nursery and our greenhouse and everything that we walk to all the time. So we go through each example within our property of permaculture, and we also harvest our lunch and we have lunch together. So that's one offering that we do. And then we do a permaculture masterclass, and that's where we invite the community in and we do a whole class, 1-day crash course on everything permaculture, inspiring people to get started. We give cuttings out, and we teach people how to propagate plants and how to build soil and how to do syntropic agroforestry, how to look at different canopies, what trees should go near each other. And in 1 day, people are very inspired and can take home these practical skills and do it themselves. And then there's a network of community that is there. We also do experiences and courses, and next year we'll be offering a few of these courses to be determined. And we're also going to be launching an online regenerative living course, hopefully by the end of this year. But yeah, and also the book, you can also order Regenerate Your Reality book. And this is a really great guidebook on how it's a little bit of memoir, but it's also, there's 17 different experts in the field of permaculture regenerative living that are featured in the book. And it will help inspire your transition to regenerative living.
Where
You want me to do a little, I could do like a one paragraph reading from it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the Passion Path chapter 2 in the conclusion, and it's the relationship between the earth, community, and nature reflects our relationship with ourselves. There are always more improvements and changes to come, but can we be happy with exactly where we are and proud of ourselves for that? When we seek more, we lose the sight of the journey and the pleasure of the ride. Our goal should be to get a little stronger each day and take lessons from life itself. One of the most exciting blessings is the power of choice. We choose what we eat, drink, wear, accept, say, do, and buy. We choose with whom we work with and play. There's a plenitude of options in everything. It's sometimes difficult to make intentional choices these days. Are you consciously consuming foods, clothes, other products? Is the choice a good choice for you and your family and the planet? If you are unsure about the environmental actions and lifestyle choices, research, discover, learn, unlearn, and then choose.
That's really cool. There's so much amazing stuff in there. The one word which stood out for me in particular is unlearn. And I just think we have to start questioning where we're getting our information, where we're getting our food, what the system which people are living in is like, is it here to help us or is it here for somebody else's benefit? And so I think the unlearning part is really important.
Absolutely, yes. And it can just be small steps. It just taking one step at a time, and not all the change has to happen all at once. It did really for me because I quit my job, I started traveling, and then I found a project to volunteer in. So I drastically made all these changes all at once. But I know many families that they have like a 5-year plan, and they have a transition time, and it's every way of change is good. And we're all unique individuals with different passion paths, but how can we tune into what is right for us and what is right for the earth?
I think that's a really important message, is the part is like, what is right for us? It's like this journey towards a regenerative lifestyle is not a race or it's not a competition. It's just, how can we be a better version of ourselves little by little? And for some people, it's going to be really quick, and others, it's going to take a long time. And I'll go out on a whim and say, there's going to be challenges. And there's going to be times like, why am I doing this? But I think so. What pulls you forward? What gives you the motivation to keep going?
Yeah. So there's always going to be ebbs and flows and cycles of dualities in whatever lifestyle we choose. And how can we stay on our mission and stay focused? I think planting seeds and seeing the seeds grow every month just inspires me, because I'm able to see something that I physically plant. And usually in the moon cycles, we plant seeds metaphorically and then physically. And it's so beautiful to see the seed physically start to become a seed, the sapling, and then a tree, and then something we transplant into our own garden. And I think just planting trees is the biggest inspiration that keeps me going, is knowing I want to leave this earth better than we found it. And I think that planting trees helps not only our community, but the generations to come.
Do you have accommodations on your property where people could come and visit?
Yeah, so we have neighbors we actually have 2 neighbors. We're doing our courses that we're renting their spaces, but yes, you can come reach out to us and we can get you an accommodation at Airbnbs next door, a retreat center, and then Via del Aires, which is a fancier hotel, is nearby us. So these are two places that we do hold courses, and we can accommodate families if you want to come for just a day or 2 days and really dive into regenerative living through in-person action and just getting your hands dirty.
Would the best way of people contacting you or scheduling something like this reach out through the website? Is that the most convenient way?
Yeah, I think so.
And then just for those of you, I don't think we've mentioned this, but Jean is in a place called Tinamastes in the Southern Pacific region of Costa Rica. So San Jose is the closest airport, and there's transportation heading down towards the South Pacific region. And so then, just curious to know if there's anything else. Oh, I was going to ask, would you share a little more about the Jungle Project?
Yes. So Jungle Project is all about trees training in a trade. And two of the co-founders of the project are from Costa Rica, and one, Paul Sink, is from the United States. And I became a partner with this project 5 years ago because I saw the potential of how empowering small-scale local farmers with regenerative agriculture education and trees can be the change from conventional to regenerative agriculture. And it needs to start with local small-scale farmers doing it. And regenerative agriculture is ancient knowledge. It's what our ancestors used to practice with bioferments and mimicking the forest. And we at Jungle Project teach training to the farmers. We have 2 different communities, 30 different farmers in these farming families, and breadfruit is the primary crop. Breadfruit is like a large potato that grows on a tree. It's almost like a cantaloupe-sized fruit. And this fruit grows in all the tropical areas of the world. And it's been said by many researchers that breadfruit could be one of the solutions to world hunger and malnourishment, and also is incredible for the environment. It's a tree that lasts over 70 years and can meet all the carbohydrate needs of just one tree, can be the entire carbohydrate needs for a family of 5. So it's a miracle tree, and that's the tree that is the canopy crop within the agroforestry systems, along with cacao is the understory crop, different gingers and turmerics and edible perennials that grow alongside as companions to the breadfruit tree. So we are a social project and a for-profit. So we combine both sides, the social arm and then the profit arm, where we buy back the breadfruit from the farmers. About 80% of we guarantee to buy back 80%, which is a great income for the farmers. And that happens after 4 years. So we go through this whole 4-year training program, planting trees. And then by the 4th year, they're producing a lot of breadfruit and they're earning an amazing income. They're feeding their own families, and then just they're improving the environment, regenerating the soils, and really farmers are our heroes. And that's what we believe at Jungle Project, that if the farmers are thriving, so are we.
That's so important. Yeah, it's the intention which goes into the food production, because they're the ones who are caring for the soil, they're caring for the trees. So the intention goes into the food that they're making. And that's so important. And so this is a project for local Costa Ricans, or is that what it's primarily focused for? Just a way of them just generating a better quality of life and free from the sort of, I guess, the demands of high commercial agriculture.
Yeah, so it's a solution to to earning an amazing income and growing their own food for their families. We take donations through Kiss the Ground. Kiss the Ground is our fiscal sponsor, and we have a few different grants that come in each year from different organizations. One last year was from Alter Eco, and it helped bring on the next generation of farmers. And we are definitely wanting to see this opportunity for local farmers all over Costa Rica. And so if you do want to support the project, you can go to Kiss the Ground, Jungle Project, and then that will lead you to donating through Kiss the Ground. And then the funds go back to the farmers, the training, and the trees.
That's so inspiring. I love the way that's working, and just giving the local farmers the opportunity to just to continue farming in a more sort of harmonious way and more profitable, because a lot of farmers make very little money, and they're at the mercy of the agri-chemical companies.
Yeah, you see that near monoculture crop foundation, like the towns near them are just so impoverished because there's only one crop of food that's being grown there, and then the chemicals that go on the schools and the houses from the runoff of the rivers. We just need to make this change. It needs to be, regenerative agriculture is becoming mainstream, but we need everyone to just transition their consumption to organic and to support smallholder farmers, mom and pop businesses. And shopping at your local farmers market is one of the best ways to support your farmers.
I really appreciate you taking the time to share this wisdom and knowledge with us today. I just have a couple of questions for you as we're leading in towards a close here. And like, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I would just say, follow your heart and just do it.
And then on the flip side of this, so 20 years from now, you've accomplished everything you have currently envisaging. What would that version of you say to the current you?
I would say thank you. And thank you for leaving it better than you found it. And may this little tiny ripple from our garden ripple outwards to other gardens and other communities, and may the generations to come be fruitful.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for this this wealth of information. And so you have a free gift, and it's regenerative education. Could you share a little about that for the audience here?
Yeah, so it's www.regenerateyourreality.com/regenerative education, and it's where I talked about the webinars, the reading lists, the video lists, the articles, and there's all the special contributors who wrote in the book. Their contribution is on this page. So it's a gift to you from us, and to be shared and read and practiced. And I hope that this inspires you to live regeneratively, to make small changes, and don't be afraid to just start planting seeds in a little garden, no matter where you are. It could just be in boxes in your front yard. It could be transitioning your lawn to a garden, and start that relationship with plants, start that relationship with the soils. And the more that you start to garden and touch the soils, the more interconnected you become to the wealth of knowledge that really nature teaches us, and we just learn through nature.
I just want to echo that. It's like, please, please, please just start planting seeds. And don't give up if they don't grow the first time. I've planted many seeds which have died, and I just keep going. But it's wonderful to see trees which are growing, which have been planted by us.
Yeah, so fruitful.
Exactly. It's incredible to go out in your garden and just watch the fruit unfold, and just watch them just ripen on the trees until the monkeys then come and take them.
Yes. And that's part of it. You need to plant enough for the monkeys, for the neighbors, for all the little animals and yourselves and your family. So plant enough for the abundance.
Absolutely. It's the interconnectedness of oneness. It's we're all here together, and it's just being able to share with the animal friends around us and each other. So once again, thank you, Jean. So just in closing, I believe that everybody here should take an imperfect action. So what's one thing that people listening here could do right now, which would not only impact their lives, but would impact those around them and impact future generations?
I think the power of choice. How we have that power of choice in everything we buy, power of choice to choose the activities we do, to choose the environments we live. So the power of choice and just being conscious about our consumption. And the activity I would do right now is think of where you want to plant the next seeds and start your garden. Start your garden this cycle.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be here, and I hope this inspires and sparks the seed of change within you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.